circuits. Then the create new circuit, I'm going to click on that. Then there's an empty screen opens with a lot of components on the right side. You can look at the lot of components available in the Tinkercad library. So there is what is called as basic components, and all the components are there. So you can see that all these components are available. I've just taken the basic components. It's good enough for the first lab experiment. So since I'm going to build a project using an Arduino board, I take an Arduino Uno board. I click on that. Then as soon as I click on that, I'll get Arduino board on the working screen. So now you can give a name for this Arduino Uno board. For example, 2 is there here. I can just specify what is the name I can give for this board. Say Uno 1 or something. I can just give whatever the name I require. Even you have many Uno boards are there, you can always specify which Uno board you want to refer. So since many projects will have multiple Uno boards, so it is required to give a name properly. So I've just taken a Uno board and given a name for it. Next, I want to build a small program or a project which do not require external components. In the sense, I want to write a small program to test my Arduino board is working or not. We already learned in the theory, there is one LED is present. You can see the LED here, LED, which is connected to the pin number 13. So I can write a program for this and make this LED on or off through the program. So whenever we write this one, whenever we want to write this program, I want a place where I should write my program. When you have Arduino board, generally we have a software called Arduino Studio that we have to install that software, and that you have to write the program in the Arduino Studio. Since the Studio is not available, is not used, is not required in the simulator, they have provided a similar screen, same interface they have provided, the same code what you are typing in the Arduino Studio, the same way you are typing the code in the simulator also. So in the future, you can able to download the same program. There is an option is available to download this program code. When I go to the code, I can download this code and write into, take the same code and use in Arduino Studio also possible. Now, I want to develop a program for this board for testing the LED is working or not, board is working or not. So code can be written as a blocks mode or a text mode. Since we are already learned the C language, for an engineering student, it's always better to start with a direct coding itself in the C. So I've just taken the text. After I taken the text, now the screen opens. I can able to type my code here. I will clear the whole code. So I will start. I will not use any of the code which is already available. Sample codes available for all the components modules in the Tinkercad. But I will be typing my own code so that I will have a confidence when build my projects. So try to use your own codes, write your own project codes. So it is always gives a confidence when you encounter a situation where the ready code is not available. So there are this code, what I'm writing will have the two functions. That means that Arduino Studio or Arduino programming requires filling two functions basically. So one is called as a setup function, other is called as a void the loop function. Is it audible and visible, the program? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what is the job of a setup program? Setup program is the code, I'm going to type it here, which will be executed only once when I run my application. In the sense, the things which has to be executed only once. For example, you have to configure the pins of this you are going to use to connect the peripherals. Configuring the pin is required only one time in the beginning of a code. You are going to declare, you are going to set up, you have to initialize Wi-Fi connectivity. That is required only one time. So I'm going to put it here. So the things which are required to do it only one time, I'll be doing it in the setup function. Then what is a loop function? After it executes all the lines you have written in the setup function, then the program control comes to the loop. See, in a normal C programs, you would have written all your code in the main. So what is the first line which is going to execute? The first line, what you have written in the main, that is a line which is going to be executed first. But whereas here, the main code is split into two functions in the Arduino programming. One is called as a setup function and the loop. So both will constitute the main here. So main itself is split into two parts, setup function and the loop function. But what is the difference between the setup and loop? The code which is executed in the setup, the code which is written in the setup will execute it only once. Whereas after finishing all the code you written in the setup, the control comes to the loop. Then it will execute all the code present in the loop. And then it will not stop here. It again repeats execution of the code present in the loop continuously. That is how the embedded systems will work. Look at the washing machine. How does the washing machine will work? So washing machine, it's always waiting for certain inputs from the keyboard. You set up, you press it and start the wash. You select certain things, yes or no, what speed it has to work, what is the timings, everything. Then you start the wash. Then after finishing the wash, the washing machine job is not completed. Again, it come back to the main program. What is the main program? Again, wait for the key input. Again, you can use the washing machine for the second time. All embedded systems are like that. It's not one time you execute and complete your job. No, it finishes one set of instructions from you. Again, it's ready for what? Accepting the instructions or accepting your commands for the second run. That is where the loop concept is introduced. All embedded systems work in this principle only. They loop, keep on loop, finish, wait for the command from the user, execute the commands, again come back to the beginning, again wait for the user commands, execute, and again come back. So this is how embedded systems will work. So they will be in a loop of executing certain things over and over again. So you have to develop this habit of splitting the whole main program into two parts. What you have to put in the setup, what you have to put in the loop, you have to identify yourself. That by practice you will get it. Now I'll start writing the main program for the first testing program. Is called as a program for testing the cart. So I'll be using the pin number 13 because pin number 13 is the only pin for which internally they have given one LED for the Arduino boards. For no other pins they have given internal LED. So this LED is connected in the common anode mode, in the sense when you send one to this pin, LED glows. When you send 0 to this pin, the LED will be switched off. So before using any of these pins, we should be able to understand that these pins are used for both input and output. So how does the Uno board knows that? Are you using this as an input or output? It does not know that. So it is the responsibility of a programmer to configure each and every pin, whatever you use in all the microcontroller boards. It's not only in Arduino, even the ARM boards. This is the first thing you have to take a decision. Whether am I using this pin for input or output, configure that. So lot of built-in functions are provided here. I am not required to understand the architecture of the Atmel 328 processor, and I need not go into the detail of Atmel microcontroller to select the pin mode. So that is the beauty of the Arduino board. That means that they have already written the functions and given that. But in the unit 2 to 5, what we study in the ARM microcontrollers, where these functions are not available, you have to understand the architecture of the microcontroller. You have to go inside and you have to write programming the registers present inside the microcontroller. So that is first unit. We are working at the very periphery level, at the abstract level. In the second unit onwards, we go into the details of the microcontroller and we develop our own functions like this. So in the first unit, we are not worried about how it is done inside. What is the logic present in pin mode? You are not worried about it. By the time you finish this course, you can write these functions your own. That is the knowledge you're going to get. So pin mode, so which is a pin I'm using, pin number 13. I'm using that as an output. So I'll configure that. Now my pin mode is configured. Now instead of using the name 13, I can give a name for that also. So instead of that, I can just declare constant integer. You know that constant means when you use a constant prefix to a variable declaration, that means that cannot be modified throughout the program, that the value of that. So I can just say that LED and just specify as equivalent to 13 and semicolon. So wherever 13 is there, I can replace 13 by the name. That is, what is the name I given? LED. So naming the numbers in the program can be solved by using this type of statements. So in the program, when 13 is referred many number of times in the setup and the loop, you can always give the name, the number, and use that name in the throughout the program. So now I have given the name for that. Now we are going to learn 4 important functions in this lab session, how to handle the different types of inputs and outputs. As I said, that Arduino Uno board provides the facility to talk to the digital devices. It's also provide a facility to talk to the analog devices. So now there is a time for me to talk to the digital devices now. So what is a function? It's available in Arduino to talk to the digital output devices. So they have provided a function called digital write. So digital read and digital write, analog read and analog write is what is required. So you have to see that whenever you use the program, you should always make sure that whether I'm connecting to the digital devices, where I'm connecting to the analog devices. That should be, you should be very clear in the embedded systems. The first task you should be very clear. I'm using the digital devices or I'm using the analog devices. So now I'm using the digital write. Now I'm using, what is the pin number? 13. Instead of 13, I can refer this one. What I want to write? I want to write high. That is like a 1. You can write 1 also. You can write high also. Now this is all I'll do in my program. I finished my program. I finished my program. So after executing this program, I want to see what is an output. Now I have finished the program. I'll say start simulation. I'll press the start simulation button. So now the program executes. If any error is there, it'll show the error. If there's no error as there, see that the light comes here. See that earlier there was no light here. Now the light has come on the LED. That means that program is working properly. Program has worked properly. So now I'll stop the simulation. So again, I'll add the code what is required. I'll make this LED on and off. So what I'll do, I'll just use the delay function. So I will use some value for that. The delay function provided in the Arduino has a particular way of working. That means that argument, whatever you pass, indicates how many milliseconds it has to stall your program. It's a blocking call. In the sense, when you call this function, it will not return until it completes the 500 milliseconds. So if you want 1 second delay, you have to write what? 1000. Now, I want to toggle this LED so that I'll say digital write. So 13, and the low means I'm writing the 0. So I've written that. So then again, I'll say delay of 500. Say now my program is ready. So again, I'll start simulation. So you can see that LED blinking here on the pin number 13 near to the LED. So this completes testing of the board. Whenever you get a board in your hand, first write this program, download the program into the board, and make sure that LED is working. That gives that completes what? Testing of the cable, testing of the board, testing of the IDE, and so testing of the basic logic. All this will be satisfied when you execute one such program when you get any new microcontroller board. Now, so once it's clear with me, then I'll stop the simulation. Now I will try to now add the components, certain things outside the Arduino board. Now I have not taken any components for this program because I've used a component what is present in the board. Now I want to connect one LED from outside. So the components available on the right side, you can type that name of the component, LED. That's a now. So you get an LED. Now select that LED, place in the empty area, the working area. You can give a name for this LED, whatever the name. For example, name you can give. So LED 1, you can give any name for that. You can select the color for that LED. So all this possible. So I've selected the LED 1. You can place the LED. You can change the position of the LED using this. You can see in the left side, there's a rotate option is there. You can rotate the LED and keep it the place where in the position and the orientation suitable for you. Always make sure that when you draw circuits, draw it neatly with the proper coloring, so that what will happen, it gives a easy to understand the circuits. And when you add, when your circuit becomes bigger and complex, it gives more clarity. So now I have taken an LED now for this. Now I want to connect this LED to the Arduino board. Where should I use? Can I use analog pins or digital pins? We know that it's a digital device. Why it's a digital device? LED can take only 2 values, 1 and 0. So it's a digital device. Does it work at 5 volts? Can it work at 5 volts? Yes, LEDs can work at from the 5 volts. So what I'll do is, so I will take any one of the pins from 0 to 13 and connect to this LED. So let's say I'll select the pin number 7. I'll press there, one click I made there. So now I'll drag, I can define. So each, wherever you want to stop the turning of the line, you can just give one click so that you can have the wire in the shape whatever you require it. Now I have connected. Is my connection correct or not? So I have to check it. See that this is the anode and this is the cathode. Actually, when I send one, the LED should glow, in the sense current should flow. If I connect to the cathode, current will not flow in that, because current should flow from where? From anode to cathode, then only LED glows. That means that my connection is wrong. What should I do? Select that wire, press delete key. So then it will be removed. Then again, I'll select 7 since I made a mistake. So again, I will bring the wire. Now I will connect to cathode. So now I connected to, instead of anode, I've connected to, instead of cathode, I've connected to anode now. Now this color of that, I can select it. For example, I want to indicate the red color. I just indicated red color. Now, so what is the other point? The current will come from here, this pin, and it flows through that and should go to the ground. So where is the ground? Ground is also available here. Here also one ground is available, and here also 2 grounds available. Any one ground, I'll take the ground from here. So I will take the ground from here. So I have just selected and I have connected here. So now I will change the color of that to, let's say, black color. Okay. So now what will happen? Now my program is already there. Only I will add what is the required code for that. So already it is controlling the LED, internal LED. Now I want to, I've added one more LED so that I will make the required additions to the program. So pin mode. So this is a 7. So instead of using 7, I can give a name for that. So constant integer external LED. So I'll say LED 1 7. So I can just specify, instead of 7, I can use a word LED 1. LED 1. So now I'll add one more line for this. So I'll call this as a LED 1. Similarly, I'll copy this. I'll make this as a LED 1. So now same code. Now the code I have modified so that it will blink the LED connected to the Arduino board. That is a new LED, and also it will blink the LED which is already there in the board. Now I'll say start the simulation. See, look at that. Now LED is glowing. LED is glowing. So when your design, see, when your design is not proper, in the sense the design rules you are not followed properly, you will get an exclamatory symbol next to the device. Read that exclamatory symbol. Now the exclamatory symbol says that for a proper working of an LED, you require 20 milliamperes of current to flow through this one. If you make an LED, if you pass the current which is more than the 20 milliamperes through the LED, the life cycle of the LED comes down in a sense. So the LED which used to work for number of days will reduce. So it is better to always use every component with the proper specifications. So I want to limit the current. Now what is the current? It says that it is drawing, it is carrying around 51 milliamperes. But what is required is 21 milliamperes. I have to reduce the current which is flowing through this. What is the best method? As you have studied in electronics, current can be limited using a current limiting resistor. So I have to introduce a resistor in the path of the current flow. So now what I'll do is I'll stop the simulation. So I will get one more component. That component name is called as a resistor. So I'll type the resistor. So I will introduce the resistor here. So now what I'll do is, so this line I'll remove now. Now I will take the 7. Okay, I will interconnect to the resistor, and then I've connected the other point to the anode of that. So now look at here. Now I've introduced a resistor in the circuit. So now we introduce a resistor for the circuit. Choose a value for the resistance. Now resistance is around 330 ohms. If you take it, approximately gives the range what is required for the working range of the LED. So I have taken 330 ohms. 3 ohms. So I know that now how to choose the resistance value. You have to select the ohms and 330. If you want the kilo ohms, choose the proper value. Now again I run the code. I have not changed the code. I just run the same code, only the design aspect, that is a hardware design, I have changed it. Now run the code again. Now see that there is no exclamatory symbol next to the component. That means that my design, hardware design is also correct. My program is also correct. So this is how you have to design your circuits in the Arduino using external components. Now I'll stop the simulation. Now we'll add one extra component. So which will be, yeah.
So which key did you set for changing the wires?
Color, huh?
No, sir. Like for connection changing.
No, connection changing is remove the wire and make the new connection.
Okay. So how do we do it from the last connection? Like
No,
that
that's what.
7.
Whatever the, see, I had one direct connection from the 7 to the LED. No, remove
Yes,
that
sir.
connection. Remove that connection. Select that connection. Press the delete key.
Okay.
And then you do the connections again. So now, so I will start introducing one more component into this circuit, which is a digital input device. Now I have given how to use a digital output device. Now I'm going to use a digital input device. What is the best commonly used digital input device in almost all the circuits which is present? That is a key. So push button key is available. You can type the key also. It's a push button key or something like that. So I have taken the push button. So I have taken the push button. You can type the push button or you can get a keyboard. You can use a keyboard also. I just, to make it simple, I will use a push button. Name of this is push button. So what is the principle of this working is, when you press this button, the two contacts will be closed. Either you can use the above two contacts or you can use the below two contacts. Actually, it is among these 4, only 2 is used. Only to give a stability for placing the switch properly, mechanical stability, and so that it can be inserted properly, placed properly in the PCB. These 4 connections are there. These 2 are dummy. I can use these 2 or I can use above 2. And also one advantage is there, if any problem is there here, I can always use these 2, I can use it. But generally once you solve it on the board, there's no way to use other 2. So it is either you can use these 2 or you can these 2. That depends upon the layout. So which layout is better for you, which 2 are better for you, you can use those 2. So I'll be using these 2 horizontally. These 2 I will be using it. It's called as a 1A and the 2A. How does it work? That means that in the beginning, these 2 connections, that is between these 2, there is open. There is no connection is there. But when I press this switch, when I press this switch, then what will happen? These 2 are internally connected. So it is like a open and close. So when you press this will be, these 2 will be closed. When you don't press this, these 2 are open. So now I'll use the switch to give as an input information to this board. So let's say I'll use a pin number 2. I'll use a pin number 2. So now what I'll do is I will take the pin number 2. So I will take the wire. So I will bring it here. I will connect this to here. So I will make one connection, that is, so let's say one connection I made to the one leg of it. We call it 2 legs, one leg of the key. Now I want to read this input from this board. Now, whenever we want to interface or design a switch circuit, you should always keep in mind the following things. Number one, when I don't press the switch, I should be able to give one type of voltage on this point, on this input pin. There's a digital input pin. I'm using this pin as a digital input pin. When I press this switch, I want to give opposite logic of whatever which is present when the switch is not pressed. Let us assume like this. When I don't press the switch, I want to give zero voltage here. Always zero should come here. When I press the switch, always one, logic one, that is plus 5 volt should come here. That means that according to that, I should design the circuit. See, getting a switch means circuit is not there. Switch is a component. Around that, you have to build a circuit to make the circuit complete. So that is what designing of a hardware circuit, interfacing circuits. So now I have to add some components or circuits for this. What is the purpose of this adding components or circuits for this? When the switch is not pressed, I should generate a zero on this point. When the switch is pressed, I should be able to convey what? The 5 volts or the 1 here. So now that when it's pressed, it is getting shorted here. So that I will keep 5 volts at this point readily. So that what will happen when you press, 5 volts will be applied to this point. So 5 volts is available here. You can see that. So 5 volts point is available. I'll take the voltage there. So I've just connected to the 5 volts point now. So now what will happen when the switch is not pressed? So whatever the voltage, that is zero, should be applied here. When the switch is pressed, this should shorted. The 5 volts is applied at this point. But my question is, if I'm not pressing the switch, I should apply the zero voltage here. Now, does the zero voltage available at this leg? No, it's not available. It's a floating. We call it a floating signal. A floating point or a floating signal is a one where it can be 0 or 1. It can be anything. It depends upon the noise also many times, because a floating pin or a floating signal can carry any voltage. It is not guaranteed that it's 0 and 1. In some microcontroller, they have given in the documentation, it is internally, if a pin is not connected to anything, it is internally pulled up. That means that always it gives a meaning of 1. So you have to read the documentation. If the pin is not connected, if I am using the pin as an input, is it assured 1 or it is not assured? You have to find out the documentation. Now, in my circuit, I want to convey that when it is not connected, I want to give a 0 voltage. So to confirm that 0 voltage is applied at this point, I have to build some circuit for that. How do you build a circuit? So I will use one resistor and connect this point to ground, so that what will happen when I am not pressed, always 0 will be applied at this point. This concept is called pull down. So user called as pull down logic. So I will take one resistor. So I will take one resistor. I'll bring it here. So now I'll make the connection to this point. Connection to this point. So I have made one connection there. I have to connect to this ground. So I have taken one more wire to the ground. So I have just connect to ground. So, okay, I have finished. So this is a ground. So I'll just change the color to black. So I have connected to ground this point. So this clearly indicates that I am pulling down this point to ground. That means that when you are not press the switch, and since the signal is floating, this wire is floating. So to avoid the floating and pick up the noise, I am just permanently, I am connecting that point to a ground. If you don't use a resistor, what will happen? Permanently, it will be a 5 volts. Permanently, it will be a ground only. Even you press a switch also, then ground and 5 volts will get shorted and your system, the board will go away. Yes or no? Always when you develop the logic, make sure that the plus and that is a 5 volts and the ground should not be shorted anywhere in the circuit. If they're directly short, it is like what will happen in your house. You have seen the AC plugs. So one is a positive, one is a negative. You connect to the fan, you connect to your washing machine, everything. If both are shorted, what will happen? The fuse in the house will go away. So that means that the circuits will fail to work whenever you short 5 volts in the ground. So if I have not used the resistor here, then what will happen? When I press the switch, both plus and this voltage. So this wire also I change the color to red. Then what will happen? These two will short and then immediately your board would have gone. So that is why the resistor is required. But what value of resistor when you use a pull down? You use a higher value. So kilo ohms and approximately 10 kilo ohms you can able to use it. So now I've used a 10 kilo ohms to produce a pull down effect. This is called as a pull down resistor. Now I will introduce the logic for this in the program. Now my circuit is completed. Now where is the reading? Reading is through the pin number 2. Now I'll go to the code. Now we'll introduce the logic for this one. Now, so I can give a name for the switch also. So constant integer. So switch equals the pin number 2. I can use it. So now I will give the pin mode for that. Pin mode. So instead of the number, I can use a switch pin mode. Switch is a input. See that the difference. If the device, you have to identify the device of what type. Device is generating the data for the ARM, that is generating the data for the Arduino microcontroller board. That is why it's called as an input device. Now configuration is completed. Now in the logic, I want to read the data from the input device. So you can declare the variable, like say for example, integer state of the switch. So state, or you can say data or whatever it may be, switch state. So switch state equals, so I want to read from the device. I want to read from the device. What is the device for me? The keyboard. The key is a device for me. So as you know that the function is to write is what? Digital write. Opposite of that is what? Digital read. So now digital read is a function. I'm using it. So what is the name of the pin? It's called a switch. So type that switch. I want to read, that's all. There's only one argument for this function. Digital write has got 2 arguments because I'm writing. The digital read, there's only one argument from which pin you are reading, that's all. Now the value of the switch is stored in the switch state. Whenever you use a digital read function, it is going to return only 2 values, either 0 or 1. It's like a Boolean value, either 0 or 1. No other values are possible. So I've just declared it. So it's available. So now what you can do is I can just compare that. Now I can take a decision. If so switch state, if switch state equals, by chance if it is a high value, so what I'll do, I want the blinking should happen. I want the blinking should happen. I want the blinking should happen. So I can just write like this. So now look at this code. So I have read the switch status and placed in the switch state value, then use that value. If it's a high, you have to do this job. So else if you also can build it, depends upon the logics what you require it. Now, so I will execute the code here. If any errors are there, it will just show you there. So now I'll go to the code here. I'll press the switch here. See that when you press the switch, LED is blinking. So that means that this is the way you can connect a component, digital input device and digital output device to the Arduino board and use the function digital read and the digital write to access these input and output devices to build the circuits. Now,
so could you please repeat the point that you had made over here for the resistor to another ground?
This resistor?
Yes, sir. Could you please repeat why have you done this?
Yeah. So whenever you use any pin as an input pin and you should connect to the input device, you should be very clear if the device, if it's an intelligent input device, it would have generated the input, what is required to the pin. Now it is not an intelligent input device. Keys are not intelligent. The keys are what? It generally input device. You should build the circuit around that to make it work in a way what we require it. For example, if I connect, for example, any other input device which is intelligent. For example, if you take a mouse or something like a full-fledged keyboard, they have been built a circuit, they made it everything readily. I can just put and plug in the device. But key is a not intelligent input device. It's just a input device. So it is the responsibility of the design engineer to build the necessary circuit to make it complete. So this interfacing circuit should satisfy certain rules. What is the rules? So what is the rule required for the keys? When I don't press the key, this circuit, whatever I'm going to build now, should be able to convey the zero voltage here. That is logic 0. And whenever I press the key, this circuit should satisfy me the requirement. You should be able to generate logic 1, that is plus 5 volts here for that. Now, how do you do that one? I use a pull down concept. See, look at here, the one leg. So, which is the whatever the voltage available at this point, that will be conveyed at this point. Yes or no? So now, if I don't press any key, it's this line wire is open to air. Anything noise can pick up from this point. Now to make sure that always 0 is conveyed at this point, I will connect to the ground directly. I cannot connect to the ground directly without the resistor, because if I connect directly to the ground, what will happen? It is always 0 only. But this point should always sometime to take the 1 also when I press the key. Since it's taking 1 also, 0 also, I should use a resistor with a high value so that I can able to give 0, and at the same time I'm allowing this point to take the logic 1 also. So that is where the pull down concept and using a resistor is required. Hope it's cleared your doubt.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
now I will go to the other aspect. I will complete this session, and then I will ask you, I'll give a time for you to work on the 2 projects, which I will tell you what are the projects you're going to do it. Parallelly, when you are explaining, you can also keep doing on your systems also. So if any doubt is there, you can just keep your doubt with you so that I can clarify at the end of the session. Now I will remove all these components, whatever I given it. I will stop the simulation. So I'm able to demonstrate you how you can able to build the circuits using Arduino board now. So I hope you have done this circuit with so if you're not done, I'll keep this component for some time and the code also so that you can complete it. Yeah, I'll give some time for you on 5-10 minutes. So please finish this one. Take the photograph of the circuit in your mobile phone. Take the photo of the circuit and the code, and then keep doing it. Take the photo of the circuit, or take the print chart, print screen.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಕೇಳೋಣ ಅಂತ. ಹುಡುಗರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಏನು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗೋಯ್ತು.
Hello, you're finished? Hope you're finished doing this program and just randomly call some numbers. Priyanshu Singh, Kishore Manohar, is it audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Priya Nayak, have you finished? Tested this?
Sir, some errors are here.
Okay, check that what is the errors are there.
Okay,
Priya
sir.
Nayak, Priya
Sir,
Nayak.
2 minutes. Just.
Yeah, Praneeth.
Finish.
Okay. Prajwal, Vijay Kamble. Prajwal.
Sir, I'm doing, sir.
Okay. Palaksha.
Sir, I'm actually out of station, sir. I'll
You're
be
not
coming
attending
home
the
tomorrow.
session.
I'm attending the sessions. I'm listening to the lecture, but I'm not able to.
No,
do,
that
I
is
don't
not
have
called,
laptop.
that is not called the lab. You have to do it. No, you have to make, when you go out of station, make arrangements. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So Pooja Rajesh.
Yes, sir, I'm done. Sir, I have a doubt, but when we're simulating, do we have to continuously press on the button for it to glow, like the LED to
Yeah,
glow?
we have written the logic like that. No,
Yes.
if you written, you can change the logic. You can try. Now you have anyway finished. No, develop
Yes.
the logic such that only you should toggle every time. Every time you press, the logic should change. If you press once, toggling should start. Again, press next time, toggling should stop. Develop the logic. Keep working on that. It's a good question. Try. You understood my question?
Yes, sir. Yes, I understood.
Yeah. You try that. So I'll give another 5-10 minutes for everyone to complete this first session. Keep doing it, and then I'll add some other circuit. If any doubt is there, please ask the doubt. Hello. So hope you completed the first one. If not completed also, I'll give some more time. What you do, take the picture of the circuit and the program, and then you can continue later. So I will complete other part of the session, which I supposed to give an instructions, then you can continue. So now you stop doing and listen to me for the next one, the 10 to 15 minutes. Is it okay? Sharat Chandra, is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now continue listening, everyone continue listening to me for the next 15 minutes and then continue. If any doubts is there, you can share your screen. I can help you if any problem is there. So now after this session, I'm going to do 2 projects I'm going to give you so that you will be working on that, and you too, each one of you to share your screen and you to show me the outputs. Okay. So now keep looking at the circuit diagram. Now, generally, when you have few components, 1 or 2 like this, I can directly drag the components onto the area. I can connect them, I can make it work. Even in real time also, when you have only few components, you can connect the components directly like this and you can able to make the project work. But when the circuits becomes bigger and complex and more components are there, so for debugging also, to make it easier, we use what is called as a breadboard. A place where you can place your components and make the connections easier. So now I use a breadboard and build the same logic now. See that how to use a breadboard. We will learn that in the next following 15 minutes. So I will now remove all the components. Okay. So this is the breadboard. You can just type the breadboard, you'll get the breadboard. I am getting the breadboard here. Now, so once you have the breadboard, so you should know that how the breadboard works. See, keep your cursor here. Say that they are showing what? That is A, B, C, D, E, G. They are all internally connected. That means that, so they are all internally connected. If you want to make 4 connections to a single point, it is easy to use this type of row arrangement, or you can call it a column arrangement, because all the 5 connections that are internally connected means the same. That is, it is nothing but 5 wires you can take out from the same point. Similarly here, every column is like that. And these again, another set of columns are there in this side. This is different set and these are different set. They are internally connected. Internally they are connected. And then look at these rows. See that the whole row is being shorted internally. That means that more than 10 points you can take from the same signal or the same pin you can take out from this one. So look at here, this is also internally connected. So this is what the connections exist for the breadboard, that these columns are different, these rows are different. Now, so generally, whenever you build a circuit, you require a power supply and the ground for the circuit for the so many components. So that, but there are only one 5 volts point is there, but I want to connect many wires to the same point. So then it is not possible to physically connect to the same point many wires. So what we do, we use a breadboard. We create what is called power supply bus. We use a word called bus. Bus means a set of wires or nothing but so a point where you can hook so that you can derive the required the signal. In this case, power means plus 5 volts. So I'm creating a power supply lines at bus here. So what I'll do, I'll click on the 5 volts. I'll click on the 5 volts. So I created. So 5 volts power supply bus. Similarly, I'll take a ground. So I have just connected the 2 things. So now what does this indicate? This indicates this any point here, it represents what? Ground. You can take the ground. Any point in this row corresponds to what? Plus 5 volts. Now I have a plus 5 volts bus is available. The ground bus is available for me. Now I'll place the components here. Now I'll take the first LED. So I will place it like this. Yes. So placing like this means these any point connecting here connects to what? The cathode. Any connection from here, these 4 points will connect to what? Anode. If I rotate this LED and place it like this, if I place it, then what will happen? You are spoiling the component. You should not connect, you should not place the components over the same column like this. If you place the same column like this, what? Already they are internally connected. You are shorting these 2 points. That means that you are spoiling the component. You should not place the component in the same column like this. Component always should be placed what? Placed in the row position. So you see that now the orientation. Now this is correct. So here what will happen? This cathode is connected to 4 other points. Anode is connected to 4 other points. So that I can make the 4 connections to the cathode, 4 connections to the anode. So I have placed the component here. Similarly, now I'll make the connections for this one. So I will take the resistor. So resistor to be placed like this, I'll place the resistor. So now what will happen? I know connection is required from here to here. You have to make connection because internally they're connected. Look at this. The anode is connected to one end of the resistor. Now they are internally connected, so the connection is already established. Now this connection is completed. Now I have to make the 2 wires. So this cathode is connected to what? Ground. So I'll make 1 wire from here and then I'll bring it here. I'll change the color to black. So now see that what is the meaning it carries? That is, a cathode is now connected to the ground, which is already connected. This bus is already ground. Now I connect it. So now this should be connected to what? The pin number 7, it should be connected. So now I'll take 1 wire from here. So I will connect to pin number 7. I have connected to pin number 7. Now I'll give a blue color for this. Now it is done. Now what will happen? See that 7 is connected to anode through a resistor and the cathode is connected to ground. My circuit is completed here, resistor. Now I'll take the switch. How do you place the switch? Mechanically, it is stable when you place the switch like this. Even though I am not using these 2 points, but on the breadboard, if you place the switch like that, it becomes more stable. That is mechanically it's stable. Now, so I will take the resistor. So one end of the resistor, I will place it, turn that. So I will place it like this. Now this should be grounded. This should be with the resistor should be grounded. So that I'll take 1 wire from here. I will put it here to the ground. So I'll use a black color. I'll ground it. So now what will happen? So this is grounded. Now the other point has to be connected to 5 volts. So I'll take 1 wire from here. I'll connect to 5 volts here. And now I'll make this as a red. So now what will happen? So they are shorted to the plus voltage. Now look at this. So there is a pull down resistor. I'm pulling the 1 point to the ground. Other point I'm connected to 5 volts. So the point where you pull down to ground should be used. It's not, it should be used to connect to the pin number. So which is the pin I've used? So the pin I've used is pin number 2. Pin number 2 I've used. So I used it. So I use some of the different color here. So let's say pink or brown color, I used it. Now, so see the connection, see that it's completed. One end is connected to the 5 volts. The other end connected to the pin number 2 is the input. And whenever you press the key, it should be shorted and connected to 5 volts. So I've connected like this. So now see the connection also. So this is 1B, this is 2B, and this is 1A and the 2E. You can place the other ways also. Different methods are available. You can use any methods. So now once I made the connections, see that I will verify all these are correct. I will run my simulation code to see that whether it's working or not. Now I'll press this, see that LED is glowing. So that means that, so my connections on the breadboard is correct. This is how you have to use the breadboard to make the connections. Now